Hello and welcome back to LAAG Thirrin. So today in our Java 101 we're going to learn about how to iterate over an array. So say you wanted to go through this array and print out each individual number, or you wanted to do something to each individual number. You can do this in one of two ways, or both ways depending on how you work it, using a for loop or a for each loop. Now I'll go through the for loop first, as we've already covered for loops, and then I'll introduce you to the for each loop. So, if we want to iterate through our array, we create a normal for loop, like I taught you before, I less than whatever the array you're going through, its length, adding 1 to I, wrong symbol, each time. That's our basic setup, like that. Now that'll work for any array that we've done before, except in the case of the array list, which you wouldn't use .length, you would use .size. And now we just have a simple printout for this today, numbers, and in the square brackets put I. And now it should iterate through our array 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remembering that we start from 0 because the index starts from 0. Alright, now we can also do this using a for each loop, which is simpler syntactically. It's a little bit easier. So to create a for each loop, you still use the word for, except in the bracket, you declare a new variable called of the type of the array. So if the array is an int, you have to declare an int variable. You can call whatever you want. I prefer to call mine element. Then you use your colon and then the name of the array. That's it. Now that will iterate through each element in the numbers array. And we can just go and print element. That's it. And we'll get the same result. As you can see, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the for each loop kicks in, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're exactly the same, basically, except one's just slightly easier to write. So this one here, again, is a for each loop, and this one's just a normal for loop. We can also use this in our person array, so our array, except we change this to person. There we go. So this for each loop is very effective when iterating over an array list. It makes it much simpler than this way, because to do the same thing we would have to go our array dot and then size, because it is an object, so we use the methods, and here we would have to use our array dot get index, array dot get, sorry, confusing myself, I, like that. I'll have the same effect. There we go, heaps of Thirrins. So that's running both the for each and the for loop. So this is a little bit more complicated and in-depth than our for each loop, but they do serve different purposes. If you were doing more than if you were doing some really complicated stuff inside your for loop, I would opt for this for loop, because there's a thing called a garbage collector, which goes through your code your program every so often and deletes any information that is no longer being pointed at, or is no longer used, or is redundant, different things like that. and the garbage collector goes through a normal for loop after every iteration, but will only go through a for each loop after the loop has completed. So they're a little bit different in that way, but that's more advanced stuff. So basically, if you're doing lots of complicated stuff within your for loop, use a normal for loop. If it's pretty simple and you're just doing a couple things, a for each loop's very, very easy to use, very, very useful, especially when using the array list. So that was basically it for today. There is only one more loop statement sort of thing called a switch statement, which we'll go over next episode. Trying to keep this episode short. If you've got any questions about what I've gone over today, like the for each loop or the for loop, leave it in comments or on the blog that this video will be linked to. And as always, I'll put the code up on the blog as well. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.